And I am pleased to welcome to the 2025 edition of Statehouse Conversations a familiar face, a longtime friend, Matt Lehman of Berne, Indiana, District 79 for those who are keeping track. Man of many titles, but I knew him back when he wasn't House Majority Leader. Now he wields the big club, and you, every time I see you, you've gotten a few more titles behind your name. And I got to start by saying, your biggest claim to fame, I understand, just learned this, is that you were a clue or the answer to a crossword puzzle in a Carmel, Indiana newspaper. Matt Lehman, it spells out, the clue was mental health.
Mental health. It was your name is in this, all your letters are in that word. And so it was House Majority Leader, Indiana House Majority Leader in mental health. And I was trying to think of
I'm fascinated. I'm going to end the interview right now because I don't think I can top being a crossword.
I had to make copies because I've never been in a crossword.
I want to be. Before I die, I want to be a crossword.
It's not New York Times, it's Carmel, but I'll take it.
Well, not bad. Well, congrats on that new title behind your name, Crossword Puzzle Clue.
Yeah.
You are majority leader. You're herding the proverbial cats. You have a super majority. There are big things on the docket here. You got to do a budget. We're looming, some would say Medicaid funding crisis, property tax rebellion. A lot of people still reeling from their assessments. I know those are all priorities, but you have to look at the big picture, and you look at how things happen not only here in the State House, but vis-a-vis Washington and the governor's office and the White House. How do you make sense of all that heading into the next 4 months?
A lot of prayer. No.
Mental health.
And mental health. I'll say this: when you look, we are in a time of some change because you have a new administration in D.C. I think completely different administration than the last time Trump was there. You have a completely new administration here in Indiana. Not a whole lot different, but different. Ron brings a completely different perspective. So you have to kind of take everything we're trying to do and work it through the perspective of how's this going to benefit Hoosiers. At the same time, are there things that we maybe haven't done in the past because you're concerned about the feds, or you want to do now because you feel like you've got a better relationship? So all that kind of plays into your priorities. And so we do talk about what our priorities are. We talk about budget. We have had a structurally balanced budget for years. We've got to continue that. Medicaid is a huge issue, but again, brings a little bit of the federal partner into that. And then you have property taxes that people are, and again, now you kind of go the opposite direction now. And you're bringing your locals now in. You're saying, okay, we got a partner here because it is an issue. It's not an issue that the state really, we don't collect any property tax dollars at all. So it really becomes how much do you
Which a lot of people think, why is the state taking all this money? But it's all going to the locals,
you just kind of play that game of we don't want to put your thumb on the scale so that we regret something 10 years from now and say, well, we probably shouldn't have done that. So I try to look at what we do in kind of a long vision as to what's going to be the impact over the next several years.
Well, you make a great point about even when you have the same person in the White House. Let's go to the first Trump administration. The people at the agency that deals with Medicaid waivers, and anytime the state wants to do anything, expand, contract, do this, they have to get federal approval. The head of that agency was a Carmel resident. Yeah. Her boss was a Carmel resident. Yeah. And now RFK Jr. and Dr. Oz, probably not as familiar with the Hoosier state.
Well, they're not Hoosiers, but we'll see. I do think there's a couple of things like RFK, and again, it kind of plays down to us, as whether it be pharmacy issues, because we have those issues here, drug costs and things like that. When he said those are things I'm going to target, it does give you a little bit of comfort that maybe now we have more of a partner in going after some of those things that are really costing Hoosiers and Americans a lot more than I think it should. So we'll see how that plays out, because you have that PBM issue almost every single year. In fact, I had my staff in my office yesterday, and I said, let me draw a picture and show you how this all works. And I just put my pen on the board, and I just, whiteboard, I just scribbled around until I had a blur, and I said, that's it, that's how it works.
I want that whiteboard. That'll map out the whole thing for me.
You have to come to see my whiteboard sometime.
All right. Well, as we look at the session, a budget year particularly, Hoosiers have gotten accustomed to you and your brethren at the end of the session saying we gave historic increases to K through 12 education. We gave historic increases to that. Public health got a huge infusion. First one probably 100 years. I mean, and a significant one last budget session. This is a little tighter. Some money in new money in the first year according to the forecast. Not so much in the second year. Have Hoosiers gotten spoiled? Are you going to be able to stand up there and say historic increases?
No, I think, and I don't know if I'd say spoiled. I think what we've become common to is we live within our means, and that means always isn't tight. It's our personal budget. Sometimes they're tighter than others. I think what you're going to have is you're going to have more of a focus. Where do we either cut or where do we grow? Because I do think there's going to be some places we're going to have to really look at possibly growing. Other places that maybe we do need to retweak this. At the end of the day, I think we're going to have a balanced budget. As you know, John, you've been here a long time. Forecast in December was the December forecast. We get a forecast in April. We hope for better news. That's why the budget's usually at, like you said, 11:59.
Right.
Because then we take those numbers and say how those really work. And so I think we'll get there. I think the Hoosiers will be happy with our budget.
And aside from budget, while I have the brain trust, one-man brain trust in my chair, what's the one thing you want to see happen this session that without it you'd be disappointed and you'd go back to Byrne and say, folks, we didn't quite deliver this? Is there one thing that stands out on your agenda? I know your agenda is all-encompassing with the supermajority.
I would say not particularly that. I do think one thing I hope we move forward on is energy, because we do have some energy issues. You're seeing a lot of growth in Indiana with Amazon and Google and Fort
Yeah, the
Wayne.
data centers, I guess,
So,
they gobble up a lot.
Energy. And so I think Solid has one of our priority bills on energy. I do think that's something we need to not lose focus on with budget and everything else. That's great, but we got to maintain focus because that's a long-term fix. Is energy, and I'm a big nuclear energy guy. I love it, and I think we're talking about small nukes. I think that's something that Indiana can move forward on.
Well, Purdue just had a study that showed 8 locations that you could have these small modular reactors at cold facilities that now. Yeah. There is life after coal, I guess, perhaps.
There is.
Well, listen, Matt Lehman of Byrne, Indiana, representative and House Majority Leader, and crossword puzzle clue. I thank you for taking time out of what I know is a very busy schedule, stepping away from your whiteboard to sit down and chat with us about the session. And I also applaud your commitment to the state of Indiana and to public service.
Thank you, John.
Greatly
I appreciate
it.
All right, thank you.